All right, so I got a microphone that I hope is going to work well with this setup. Yeah, right now wind noise is a problem when you're riding a bike and you're trying to record. So let's see how this goes. Yep, as I said, I'm heading out to meet my friend Nick.
Alright, so as you can see, there's a lot of wind noise, so I'm just going to talk over this video with a voiceover as I ride out to meet my friend Nick. And as I already said, Nick is like me. He's a biker. He's been in Japan for a long time, and he loves riding. And we used to go riding a lot together before. But we had families, kids, and stuff. We don't go out as much as we used to. But there's a change coming in Japan, in the world. Everyone's moving to electric vehicles. And Nick really doesn't like electric cars and bikes, but he's never really tried one before. So today I'm going to meet up with him, and we're going to try the CE-04, and we'll see if we can change his mind. As I'm riding out to meet him, I thought I should talk about the bike and how it's been for the last few weeks since I got it. I'll mention the good points first. As you guys know, it's an amazing bike in terms of power and acceleration and torque. It just can't be beat by anything. You always take off so fast from the lights. And it's easily the fastest bike on the road. There's a lot of bikes in Japan. You see a lot of scooters, especially from 50cc up to it goes up to 125, 150s, 160s, like the PCX. There's some bikes right there. You see bigger bikes too, especially on the weekends. A lot of weekend riders ride bigger bikes. Daily riders, daily drivers, you see a lot of 50, 125, and 250s. A lot of geared bikes, and then you have a lot of scooters that also fall under that 125, 250 type. And when you compare this bike to any of those, I would say the closest thing that comes to this bike would be the Yamaha T-Max, I think it's called, which is like a 500cc scooter. It's like a performance scooter. And I guess that bike probably rides a lot like this one in terms of performance and, how you ride the bike. It doesn't have any gears, so it's like this. So in terms of performance, it's a great bike. Lots of power, lots of torque. Could it have more? Sure. It is a heavy bike, so I think it would benefit from having a little bit more power. I think in stock form, the bike has about 40 horsepower. And I think if it had, let's say, 50 or 60 horsepower, I think it would be even better. So I could see future models maybe increasing the power with a bigger battery or with 2 battery packs. That would be pretty good. So, I think there's probably going to be some kind of upgrade path for this bike in the future in terms of power and torque and weight and things like that. Okay, so handling, the great handling, no complaints, very smooth, quick in traffic. Even though it is a heavier bike, you can get between cars no problem. Lane splitting is legal in Japan. You're allowed to do it. You see some crazy guys on bikes like getting very close to the cars and weaving in and out without even indicating, using turn signals. It's pretty common. I know it's technically not, a good thing to do, but that's just how people ride. When you're commuting every day and you have to get to work, you have to go fast. So that's just the way things are. So this bike handles very well. Even though it's heavy, it does handle very, very well. And that torque, that instant torque, gets you out of situations that you don't like being in. Like, let's say you're trapped between two trucks or two buses and you don't like being there. You can get out fast, and that's why that low end torque in city traffic is so important. I was worried the bike might be too wide, but it really isn't. It's not wide at all. It's actually comparable to like a Honda PCX or maybe that T-Max that I mentioned before. Probably smaller than the T-Max. It is a longer bike though. It's got a very long wheelbase. I think that's because of that torque. That it has that longer wheelbase to make the bike safer and more steady. If it had a shorter wheelbase, I think it might take off and wheelie every time. So that's probably why they designed it this way with that longer wheelbase. Next is comfort. It's very comfortable. The seat, I think, is a little thin and a little bit, there's a gap between the frame and the seat. And I think maybe they could make the seat padding a little bit thicker and fill that gap more. Under the seat, there's like a big gap. There's space there for more padding. And that's why I use this Airhawk on my bike, simply because, I want that extra padding for daily riding. You kind of need it. Good things about the seat would be the seat heating, which I haven't actually used yet. It's not cold enough yet, but that's definitely a good thing. The grip heaters are amazing. I've never had them before. They are options on a lot of bikes, but on this bike it just came standard, which is great. This bike is considered a luxury scooter, so I think having all these little options like grip heaters, seat heaters are great. So it's very comfortable in that sense. Another thing I like is a keyless ignition. You have a key fob. One bad thing about the key fob is I heard from the dealer that the battery doesn't last long, like 6 months or something. So, but the batteries are very easy to get. They're cheap. They're easy to install. And I actually got a warning message the other day saying that the bike couldn't detect my key. So I was like, oh, okay. Since it's a new bike, but it's probably been sitting for a while, I'll just replace the battery in the key fob. And I did that, and it's been fine ever since. I actually keep a spare battery in my wallet. It's one of those very thin, flat button batteries, so you can keep a spare one in the bike or in your wallet even, and as soon as you get an error message of any kind, just switch it out right away. Better safe than sorry, right? And so I did that already, and I've only had the bike a few weeks, but I've already changed out that battery. I use a Panasonic battery. It's I guess they're better than some other company. I don't know. But anyway, having a keyless ignition is great. It can often be an option on other bikes, like the Energica bikes that are coming to Japan now. They have so many options, and one of those options that you have to pay extra for is, keyless. Having a key fob. I got a case for the key fob from AliExpress. It's like $10-15, very cheap. Worth getting, protects your key because it's small and slippery, and you might drop it one day out of your pocket if you're wearing gloves and stuff. So, yeah, get one of those little key fobs. Yeah, key fob covers. Yep. Suspension, comfort-wise, suspension is good. It absorbs bumps really well. I think it's rated to about 85 kilos. Here I'm talking about the screen. I'll get to that in a minute. I have it on the lowest setting, so it absorbs all the bumps as much as possible. I weigh about 85 kilos, so I think, I'm about the right weight for this suspension. But that's something that could, I guess, be upgraded to a better suspension. Maybe Öhlins or something, if they ever make something that fits this bike. I don't really know. But I have no problems. Compared to the new NQI, this suspension is incredible because the new suspension is very harsh for someone my weight. That was my biggest complaint of the new is just how bad the suspension is. It really is designed for smaller people. The bike actually performs quite well for its price point, but the suspension sucks and you feel every single bump. So I had to use the same Airhawk on that bike. Otherwise, I just couldn't ride it every day. So yeah, I'm really happy with the suspension and the comfort level of this bike. Yeah, what else is great? Yeah, brakes are good. They are made by Juan, or I don't know how you pronounce that name. It's a Spanish company. It could be J. Juan, I guess, if that's how you say it in Spanish. But you could upgrade these to Brembos. But because you're using regen all the time, I barely touch the brakes. So I really don't think it's necessary. Yeah, so it would be a waste of money, I think, upgrading these brakes, because they work. I'm sure they've been tested and they work just fine. They will stop in an emergency, which is probably the most you'll be using them is in emergency cases where you need to stop fast, or you're not paying attention, or you're not giving yourself enough distance for the regen braking, because you have to think ahead when you're using regenerative braking. You have to see the lights from a distance and calculate how much space you need to slow down. You don't release the throttle instantly with regen. You have to release it gradually and bring yourself to a slow stop. That's something that definitely takes getting used to with electric cars and bikes, because they're very similar like that. You have to slow down gradually with regen braking. But it's very similar to engine braking. We just saw Tesla going by. It's very similar to engine braking in a manual bike, but it's maybe stronger than manual cars and bikes, depending on the setting too, because the bike has different settings and each setting has different regen braking. All right, next is tires. Tires are great, very grippy, good contact. They're Diablo Rosas, I think it's Pirelli Diablo Rosas. Sports tires, I think they wear down fast, so a lot of people said that they don't last very long. But they're good summer tires, good sports tires. But because this is a commuter, I think my next set might end up being Michelin's, something for the road. All-weather tires might be better. If you're planning to ride this bike in all kinds of weather conditions, then yeah, you might be better served with road tires, commuter tires, rather than these sports tires. But the sports tires do let you weave in and out of traffic very safely. Like I said, they're very grippy. They get warm. The tires get very warm when you're riding. I've always when I've finished riding, I've kind of just touched the tires just to see, and they get very hot. So that's a good thing. It means they're grippy and they're doing their job, and they're making good contact with the road. Like I said, personally, I don't like riding in the rain. When it does rain, I usually just take the car instead. I definitely won't be riding in snow or anything like that. Even on a slight amount of snow or ice, it's very dangerous on a bike, so that'll never happen. No complaints about the tires other than they wear down fast. Next thing I can talk about is storage. It's actually used that storage space a lot more than I thought I would. Before, when I was riding the new every day, I was using a backpack every day. I was putting everything in my backpack. Now I don't need to do that. I can just use a smaller bag, that I just put my stuff in that I use every day, in my wallet and phone and whatever. Things that I need for work, I just put them in a smaller bag that I just throw in that storage space. When I get off the bike, I can put my helmet in there. It doesn't fit larger helmets. Like I have a Shoei Multitech that I'm wearing today, and that doesn't fit. The Multitech helmets, those the ones that you can lift the visor, those are quite big because they're modular, right? So I think if you have a normal full face helmet, that should fit. Because this Multitech almost fits. So I think a regular helmet will fit. Oh, look at this guy. And this guy. Thank you. And then, yeah, like Japan with traffic, people really don't care about bikes. They will just go because they can't see you. I mean, I watched a video made by Fortnite about like how drivers can't judge the distance for bikes very well. Because when you're in a bike, you're very narrow. Your profile is very narrow and thin, and you can't really see when someone's coming. You can't judge the distance. So I don't completely blame them. We have to be aware as bikers. We need to be aware. Yeah. So again, the storage is good. I throw a lot of stuff in there. I was able to go to Costco and buy a pizza and put the pizza in there. Obviously not, not in the box as you get it, but I have a method. I bring I bring foil with me, like a roll of foil, and then I divide the pizza into sections, and I wrap each section with foil. Then I stack it up, wrap it in a towel, and it fits inside this space. And I was able to carry a whole Costco pizza, which is quite big. It's the biggest pizza you can buy in Japan, and cheap too. So I was able to put a pizza in there. I put a bag in there every day. I also put like a small kind of portable cover that I take to work, and I just cover it up every day with it's just a small like dust sun cover, I guess. Yep, the screen, you just saw I was looking at the screen. The screen is huge. It's like 10-inch, has a lot of information on it. It does display everything you need to know, but sometimes it's too much information, and I think it could be simplified in the future with maybe software updates. A lot of the functions right now are kind of useless. Like in Japan, like I can't use the maps, which is a shame, but that's not BMW's fault. That's just Japan. Some kind of licensing issue. The music player, if you use iTunes or Spotify, it doesn't work. But I was told that if you have music on your iPhone or on your smartphone, whatever phone you're using, I use an Android phone because I use Windows, and Android works best with Windows. If you're using music directly on your phone, it should display that music in the music section of the bike. The Bluetooth works with your phone. It displays your phone's battery level and connectivity and things like that. It's very good. There are a lot of settings on the bike, and I suppose I might make a video that just focuses on that. Also, the app that you get for the bike, the Motorrad app, I'll talk about that later too. Other good things the bike has: reverse gear, something I've never seen on a bike before. Amazing. I'm almost there now. And the lights are great too. It's got like adaptive headlights that when you're turning a corner or going around a bend, it will shine an extra kind of light into the bend so you can see what's coming. So it's got adaptive headlights. It's all LEDs. Everything is bright and everything is good. Like the high beam is bright because where I ride, when I come home, it's very dark where I live. There's like a road where it's like all fields, like rice fields and stuff. And it's all very very dark, so the headlights are very useful. This is the ramen museum in Yokohama. If you ever come to Shin Yokohama, I suggest you visit the ramen museum. It's a really cool museum. You go inside and you go down, and it's like you're stepping through a time portal. You go back like 50, 60, 70 years into the past, and it's like all these little shops that sell different kinds of ramen. It's pretty cool in there. So I'm already here, and I'm going to be meeting up with Nick in a few minutes when he gets there, and I'll talk about his bike today. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So this is Shin Yokohama, where I'm meeting Nick. It's again a nice modern area, modern part of Yokohama. Everything's nice and new and clean around here. All right.